me open my mic up so you can hear me. Thanks for tuning in tonight, everybody. It is Wednesday, July the 7th at 9:33. I wanted to go on a little bit earlier, but if you know me, you know that sometimes I just don't get there in time. But we are looking at Elsa moving kind of up the coast, but a little bit inland. And if you've been following my forecast over the past couple of days, you know that I'm not too keen on going with what everybody else says. I like to look at everything independently. I like to look at everything on its own merit. And I like to use good old-fashioned meteorology rather than just looking at all the computer models and making a guess based on the computer models. That said, forecasting is a guess in the long run, but we are somewhat confident that we're going to see some impacts from Elsa as we go into the day tomorrow. Your greatest chance of seeing some rainfall tomorrow will be east of the Blue Ridge Parkway, the Blue Ridge Mountains. That's going to go into Franklin County and Bedford County, Lynchburg, and Danville, Martinsville as well. If you're watching off to the west in the New River Valley and even the Roanoke Valley, it looks like our westward shift has gone as far west as it's going to go. It's shifting a little bit back to the east now, but we're going to go through all this in detail for you and give you a look at what's going to be happening. Thanks for tuning in on Facebook, and I believe we've also got some folks that are joining here on Instagram as well. I'm going to try to go live again. I don't know why it keeps changing there. Maybe you're not on Instagram. There's something going on my my broadcast here with Lula. I'm not sure why it's doing that. But anyway, we'll keep going here on Facebook, and we'll do something on Instagram a little bit later. All right, looking at everything in the upper levels, we actually do have a pattern that supports some moisture getting into the area, and a lot of areas could use some rain. But we've got a big ridge of high pressure that's been here off the east coast. You can see that depicted here. Let me draw it for you. We'll get our highlighter here. This area of high pressure is basically what has kept Elsa from going directly off to the east. It's still going to curve off to the east with time as this storm that you see right now in southern and southeast Georgia comes up and over that ridge. It will start to veer off to the east with time. But what will be happening too is we've got other drivers here that are trying to pull it farther to the north. You've got a trough back to the west in the upper Midwest, and there's a general weakness in here, so the jet stream's kind of doing something like that off to the west and north of Elsa. So between these two factors, it's going to take the easiest trajectory, and that puts it right through eastern North Carolina and South Carolina, I think east of Charlotte but near Raleigh, and then it'll probably start to curve to the east as it approaches our area tomorrow. And that puts us right on the edge of seeing potential impacts. And of course, that's talking about the center. But we're looking at a chance of some of the rainfall to go, and this may happen, it may not. But sometimes what happens is we see a lopsided system become lopsided on the other side. Right now, a lot of the rain is on the east side of the system, and that's been the case. On the north side of the system, it's starting to light up as well. But if we get more on the west side, in other words, when this jet stream comes through here, starts pulling that moisture up and over the track of this, up and over the center, we'll see somewhat of a deformation zone setting up, probably over our eastern counties, Halifax County, Charlotte Courthouse, South Boston into Mecklenburg, South Hill, and areas like Emporia up to Richmond, I think, have a good chance of seeing some heavier rainfall and even some gusty winds. So that's the upper air pattern. I did want to kind of give you that idea, show you why I wasn't thinking, haven't been thinking that it's going to jet off the coast. With that high there, it keeps it from doing that. But that high will break down a bit as we go through the day tomorrow. You can see this is the Euro. These are the upper level winds here. So by the time we go to 2 p.m. tomorrow, we've got the upper level center very close to Charlotte, just east of Charlotte. We're probably going to have some rain right up to Roanoke and east. The heaviest rainfall is going to be probably east of Smith Mountain Lake, it looks like. But we do need a good soaking rain. And again, we may see some of good things and some bad things from Elsa. We may see some flooding. We may also see some much needed rain getting into the ground. The speed of this is also going to be increasing because you see how fast this moves through. There's upper air energy that's kind of kicking this storm out. not merging with it. And so as it kicks it, it kind of accelerates it there. So it looks like by evening, by this time tomorrow, this will be going into the Chesapeake Bay, and it could intensify again back to a tropical storm. It's forecast to be a depression when it moves through the area. So this is the National Hurricane Center forecast, and this is as of 8 p.m. The cone has shifted from west to east depending on exactly which forecaster has been looking at this and which main run of the models they've been looking at. But you can see that, again, it's eastern areas that are kind of in the cone here. And again, this is all for the center of the storm. This does not take into account any of the rainfall that may be occurring on the west side of that center. So I want to kind of highlight that because we always talk about the center of the storm. That's how we track these things. And I want to tell you that it's not just a point on the map. It's actually a blob of moisture that we're talking about. But another one of my pet peeves is when I hear folks calling this remnants. These are not remnants. This is still a named storm. And the lowest that you can go to is a tropical depression. Now, that's only about 30 to 35 mile per hour winds with the depression, but you still have a low center, and it becomes a little bit more extratropical at times. But in this case, and it's kind of like what we had with Zeta last year in October, you may remember it actually went through, Zeta did, as a tropical storm. It retained tropical storm status through the Carolinas and through Virginia. And that's going to be the case potentially for the Chesapeake Bay area up around the Delmarva. And as it moves up the East Coast, it's still projected by the National Hurricane Center to be a bona fide tropical storm. That's what that S means. So the fact that I've heard folks calling this remnants, that sends the wrong message. It's not remnants. It's moving fast. It's going to limit our flash flood potential, but we could see severe weather on the east side of the center. And we could also see gusty winds, potentially ramping back up. After it weakens, it's going to get some jet stream energy, and that's why it's going back to tropical storm status Thursday night into Friday. There's a big plume of moisture here, and you can see it coming out of the south. Let me show you a little bit of a different viewpoint here. We'll shrink this back down. And you can see it there. So let's see, we'll go into our highlighter here, and this is Elsa. Again, you've got kind of a, it's going to refresh for us here. You got kind of a dip in the jet stream right through here, and we're just kind of tracing this out. You've also got a ridge here off to the east. So again, we kind of think it's going to do something like that. But basically, this is what it's showing us is that we've got rich tropical moisture moving north. So even if the center doesn't get here, or even if the direct rains don't get here in your area, we could still see out ahead of this main part of the system, which is still off to the west. The westerlies here have a bit of a dig here, and you've got lots of green shaded areas here. This is all some subtropical moisture as well. So there will be showers and storms even around the system at times tomorrow into tomorrow evening. That's kind of what I wanted to kind of highlight for you there. Here's a look at everything. And we're going to go off to, let's see, find my radars. So this is off my WSV3 software. I've got the upper level heights there analyzed so you can kind of see what's going on. And we'll put this into motion. You see all the lightning that developed today. In a general air mass that's moving north, you can follow the showers and thunderstorms that move through parts of Virginia today with some damage in and around the Augusta County area and Stanton. We'll look at that closely in just a second, but certainly some stronger storms there. And this is Elsa. So we've got a tornado watching effect for southeastern parts of South Carolina into the Savannah, Georgia area, where we do have some strong activity there. Also coming off the water, it pulls up right here around the circulation. So, it's still something to consider in terms of severe weather and some flooding issues as well. Tropical moisture is usually something that can hold a tremendous amount of water. And so, yeah, it's rain, and it's soaking rain that we need. But at times it's going to come down really hard because it's tropical. So we want to keep that in mind, especially in urban areas. The ground's still fairly dry, but as this rain starts to move up and around our area, we'll start to see conditions going downhill as early as tonight. In fact, we've already got some showers up and around the area coming in from the North Carolina region. More showers and storms in the Greenbrier County, West Virginia. This is not directly associated with Elsa, but it's up to the north of that. So you can kind of see as we move on in here, there's kind of a broader view of everything, but we'll go in higher detail here with the local radar picture and show you these are for the most part just kind of garden variety showers, nice and light, so at times moderate through North Wilkesboro, Sparta, and Mount Airy, moving into Hillsville and Galax. Some light rain falling for you. We've got a brown line here. That's a trough analyzed from the outflow from some severe storms earlier today. Again, Augusta County, some downed trees resulting in a grass fire because of downed wires there in Augusta County. Nelson County had some trees and a large branch down on the Wintergreen, in the Wintergreen Resort area. And Albemarle County, our folks up there reporting some minor tree damage southwest of Charlottesville. These were from not ordinary, but severe storms that developed just in the heat of the day today because of all the heat and humidity coming north with the air mass that's coming in around Elsa. So a lot of trees down around Harrisonburg, in that area, Stanton up to the north. Here at home, the strongest storm right now is up in the Allegheny Highlands, in the southwest Highland County and western parts of Allegheny County. They're moving off to the east-northeast. And you may have noticed, actually, earlier this afternoon, it did get kind of breezy around the area. And that's part of the pressure gradient that's tightening up ahead of Elsa. So let's look at everything here. This is the tropical air I've been telling you about. This is an amount of moisture that we've got in the air, and it's looking at how much water could we possibly wring out. Not where it's raining, but how big is our sponge. If our sponge is not only, but like a kitchen or sink sponge, we're going to get a certain amount of water compared to, say, one of those big sponges you wash your car with. That's going to hold more water. And so when we get into these red colors and the blues and the violets, that's the car wash type spun atmosphere that we're looking at. That holds that much more water. That's just the easiest way you can visualize it. It literally is like that in the air when a tropical system moves in. And that's why flooding is always a concern, whether you're in a drought or not. It's just the incredible amount of water. These things are born over water. They contain just a tremendous amount of potential water in the air, and we're talking between 2 or 3 inches of precipitable water. Normally in the summertime, where we're at right now, we're at about 1.5 inches, and that's actually on the high side. So we're going to double the amount of potential water in the air tomorrow. Whether or not it actually rains is a little more iffy, but we'll see. All right, especially I think south side and eastern areas. We put this into motion, and you can see that tomorrow morning we start to get that tropical air mass there in red going through Greensboro and coming out of South Carolina. It's going to be moving fast so that by the early afternoon, most areas are in this tropical air mass. And then as we go into the evening hours, we start to see more of the eastern areas of Virginia and down around South Hill. I think some very high rain totals are possible for you as that tropical system moves on through. And again, it could stay a tropical storm as it accelerates up the coast. New York City, they are looking at a tropical storm potentially as Elsa maintains some circulation into Friday afternoon. But again, the dry ground and the fact that it's stopped trending west, we've got it about where we are going to get it, I think, as far as going west. So folks, again, east of the mountains have the best chance of seeing the heaviest rainfall. This is the Euro from 12Z, and this is early tomorrow afternoon. Folks want to know about the timing here. I think it'll start raining in the morning tomorrow. Between early and mid-morning, we'll see some scattered showers around and maybe some heavier thunderstorms as well. We are going to have to watch for potential rotation in some of these storms, especially in eastern Virginia. Looks like the core of the low and the moisture will be on us by mid to late afternoon. You can see here near Emporia, and just this is Halifax County here. So the low center with Tropical Depression Elsa should be just off to your south near Person County and near Granville here, moving over South Hill and according to the Euro here, just around the Charlotte Courthouse area and going out to South Central Virginia, south of Farmville with time. Darker greens are where we see most of that moisture. So you can see the Roanoke Valley area, we are going to get some rain, but the core is going to be somewhere in that 50-mile swath, somewhere we're going to see a cutoff here between Roanoke and Smith Mountain Lake. The RAP model agrees. This is a higher res, more short-term model. Scattered showers and storms around tonight. Then as we go into tomorrow, things start to ramp up a bit. And some of these models are showing the north side of the system being a lot wetter than the southern side. So that would get this rain in and out of here in a pretty big hurry. The Euro keeps the rain around longer tomorrow. The RAP and other models have it tomorrow morning into early afternoon and then tapering off by late afternoon. So don't be surprised if it's in and out of here within just a few hours. It's during those few hours where we could see the majority of the rainfall. This is a hurricane model. This is the HWRF that follows the storm. Okay, so this is right now tonight, and as the map's going to move. So again, we're tracking through South Carolina. These are potential strong to severe storms. These bands, still some feeder band action basically by early tomorrow morning by around, this is 5 a.m. So if you're in Myrtle Beach, vacationing, Myrtle Beach to Wilmington, down to Georgetown here around Charleston, watch out tonight through early tomorrow morning. That should be the worst of this storm. And up here around North Carolina, more of a solid rain starts to develop by 5 a.m. near Charlotte, South Hill, and south into Asheboro as well. As we go into the rest of the day, this is 11 a.m., so we're going to the getting close to lunchtime. Danville's getting some heavier rain according to this model. Statesville, Winston-Salem, the triad there, seeing some very heavy rainfall that continues into Raleigh-Durham and around Fayetteville as well. And then if you move into Virginia, it's more showery to the Roanoke Valley area, but we start to see the more solid shield of rain from Lynchburg to Danville on 29. I think you've got a good chance of seeing this heavier rainfall by noon. And it intensifies a bit. This is, again, the potential for this thing to strengthen back up again, a tropical storm status. That could be interesting because this model is picking out an area from Martinsville and Danville tomorrow, right in through here, where we could be seeing some very intense activity. So looking at a potential severe weather, or at least a flash flooding or flood advisory type setup where we've got some urban flooding coming around the circulation here. And if you look closely at Franklin County there, we're right on the edge in Rocky Mount. Hardy would be right on the edge, Bedford right on the edge. You can see if you go just a little bit off to the west, you may actually be in the sinking air immediately around the circulation where you may actually have some sunshine. So it's a tough call. It always is in our area. But I think it's going to be enough of a calm ahead, more of a deformation zone for us as Elsa moves north and eventually northeast. So depending on how fast, too, it wants to move to the east rather than the north will make a big deal on how much rain we get in here. But this is a pretty ominous-looking forecast, to be honest with you here. But luckily, the storm, if it was wetter outside in the ground and it was moving slowly, I'd be way more concerned than I am. Still, we do have a flash flood watch out for southeastern parts of the area, and I'll show that to you in just a second, for the potential of 2 or more inches of rain with this. It scoots along here by late afternoon, may actually start again to clear up in late afternoon, so maybe late morning, early afternoon for most folks. But still some rain around Lynchburg, east into South Boston, and Farmville getting some very heavy rain. Farmville, Buckingham County, Appomattox, right around 4 or 5 o'clock will be the heaviest rain for you. And that'll be around the Richmond area too. That's almost a bit of a center there, redeveloping there near Williamsburg, east of Hopewell and north of Wakefield, going into eastern parts of Virginia into the Chesapeake Bay. Could be some rough water out there on the bay as this continues toward the Dover area. Maybe, getting a bit stronger there as it accelerates through New Jersey and even New York City there. pretty incredible. It becomes more extratropical with time, of course, as it's moving back into the westerlies. So everybody wants to know about rainfall. This is the Euro as of 12Z. And again, you see how we are right on the edge here. Looking at, if you read this verbatim, less than an inch, but more than a half inch. So about 0.75, 3/4 of an inch of rain for Roanoke. But let's say this jogs off more to the west. Let's say it doesn't turn as much. That would put everything a little bit off to the west. So that would be, you'd have that 1 inch line, which goes through the Blue Ridge and east. That's about an inch plus. And then as you go into Halifax County and Charlotte Courthouse to Richmond, this area is in a 3 to 4 inch band. And a lot of that falls in just a few hours' time. So these rainfall rates will be something to watch, but I do think most areas the ground's going to be okay for this. We're still going to have a few problems out there as we take, again, the bad has to come with the good sometimes, and that's what we're seeing. New River Valley and Allegheny Highlands, earlier this morning it looked like you could get in on some of this stuff, and you will, I think, still, but it doesn't look as solid as it looked earlier in the day as the models have kind of settled back down and have said, okay, yeah, it's moving somewhat farther west than it looks a few days ago, but it's pretty much that's the parkway there. It's pretty much areas along and east of the parkway. We'll have to also wait and see if we have any upslope component. Sometimes you get winds coming in like this, hits the mountains. This would be north of the center, and there's some upslope rain that happens, that could be in the morning. So I'll be watching that potential, but you can see those values there up around 3 to 4, over 4 inches in some places here. And that includes Charlotte County, Charlotte Courthouse, South Hill, and up to Emporia, and back down through the Carolinas here. I'd say south of Surrey County, south of Stokes County toward the Asheboro area. And Charlotte, that area there could be around 3 or 4 inches too in terms of total rainfall. All right. So these are just some of the latest models that have been coming in, and this is hard to see. This is off of Weather Bell, but these are the actual hurricane models, and again, this is for the center of the storm. You've got that one outlier there that brings it right through our area. Earlier, again, we had, so I'll go to some of the other runs from this morning. We had a lot more in our area off of this earlier today, but now it looks like it's shifted farther off to the east again. You can see that difference there. Still puts, I think, eastern parts of the area well within the range of seeing this heavier rainfall. But the GFS ensemble really coming together now. We had a big, once again, if I go backwards in time, we had a large discrepancy in the track. That was the same case around 12Z today, but the new 18Z runs have come in a lot closer. So now that we're getting into an area where it's surrounded by weather balloons, we've got better data going into the models, and that's what you're seeing there. The Euro still leaves more of a western track open, so this is going to be interesting again. So if it decides to take one of these routes, that would bring us a lot more rain than, say, if it took the middle of the road or even the eastern route. Right now, the middle of the road looks most likely, of course, but that's still going to put our southeastern areas in that flooding possibility. And to show you that, I've got the National Weather Service up. I've got the HPC or the WPC maps up here for you too. This is the surface analysis by 12Z tomorrow. Lows coming up. This is, again, it's Elsa. It's Tropical Depression Elsa. It's not remnants, okay? But it's near Greensboro and Burlington, the Fayetteville tomorrow afternoon, and by the evening hours starts to move on out. We still have this front off to the west. It's going to maybe pop up some showers and storms by the evening tomorrow. Excessive rainfall, this is day 2. You can see areas have a slight risk of excessive rainfall into the southern parts of the area. Southeast parts of the area in the much of North Carolina has that slight risk of excessive rainfall. So that's why the National Weather Service has a flash flood watch in effect for our southeastern counties here. That's issued for Rockingham down to Caswell County, North Carolina, and to Pittsylvania County and Danville, Halifax, and Charlotte Courthouse here. Flash flood watch, rainfall amounts over 2 inches possible. Flash flooding may indeed occur here. But that is until 10 p.m. tomorrow with amounts over 2 inches. The rest of the area, is fine, but we'll have to watch any potential flood advisories depending on where this thing wants to send the heaviest band of moisture. Just making sure I've got everything on here that I wanted to show you. Here's the low tracks again, and I've got these, this is the ensemble here. So if we go through the night tonight into tomorrow, this is at 8 a.m. tomorrow. The center will be somewhere between Greensboro down through, again, about Florence, South Carolina. You can see the tracks. Some of those tracks still taking it a little bit farther west. The median track, though, is more of a Raleigh thing. So I think from Danville to South Boston to Raleigh will be the best chance through late morning, early afternoon. And then by the time we go into the end of the day, it's going across the Chesapeake Bay. Areas to the east of these tracks, by the way, will have a chance of severe weather and even tornadoes. So watch out Myrtle Beach. Watch out here going in the Outer Banks of North Carolina as well. In the Hampton Roads area especially, could see some tornadic activity as we see some very small, relatively weak, rain-wrapped tornadoes sometimes in these tropical systems. For the record, we've got tropical storm watches up all up and down the Chesapeake Bay and all the way up Massachusetts just about. This is a look at the satellite picture here. As we kind of wrap things up, you can see the sun setting on the detail here. You can also see the deeper moisture right along the coast. But you can see some of these bands of moisture. Those storms were going pretty good over the North Carolina area earlier. Kind of in advance of Elsa. This is the direct air mass down here. We'll wait and see if we can get some of the stuff you see there in the upstate of South Carolina, some of those brighter and colder cloud tops. That's going to be probably what gives us our rain. And then if you're in Danville and again South Boston, it's this core here that's going to graze the southeast part of our area. Also talking about wind, now this is interesting, and the Euro tends to overdo wind a bit. But I want to show you the Hurricane Center looking at the possibility of this becoming more of a tropical storm once again, maybe intensifying over eastern Virginia. So this is one of the possible scenarios. These are max wind gusts in miles per hour. By the time we go into early afternoon tomorrow, you see some 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts here in the Carolinas, in the eastern Carolina, and the coastal plain of South Carolina here. Then as we go through the evening hours, we see higher potential winds. We see up to 67 mile per hour winds here for Suffolk, Norfolk, and areas around the Emporia area, I-95 and east. This could be interesting later into the late parts of tomorrow evening into tomorrow night. And we've got about 20 to 30 mile per hour winds in gusts, not sustained, but gusting pretty good there as you move into the Roanoke Valley area and to the foothills and surrounding areas. So it's a track that takes it basically right on the edge of our area, but enough of a wraparound to where I think we're still going to see some areas of heavier rainfall. I'm going to try to get on TikTok and Instagram and do some stuff there. Can't figure out what's going on with my Lula. My Lula is what I stream to from this app, and for some reason it's not talking correctly. So you may see me do some testing on that overnight tonight. That's all for now. I'll have more updates tomorrow if needed. Stay safe, everybody, and in the meantime, try to enjoy some soaking rain out there.